Mm. Good evening. This is vlog number 2 of the night of the 26th of February. And this is the pollinator. Um, I talked about the black transgender community in my last video, and this video is going to be about black activism. Not black transgender activism, but black activism. Did you know, everywhere I look, in fact, I can't even find one transgender pro-black individual. I've chatted to some guys who would like to be about that, but they're not visible, they're not public, they're not noisy about it. That is why Fuckerbook is doing what it's doing to me. They are afraid that I am going to electrify and unify black power again, but within the transgender community or something nonsense like that. Or maybe well, yeah, period, because they're picking on every black person who looks like they're about something on that platform. Yeah. Because they must have read that stupid FBI report of last year, and all of them are afraid of a black messiah to come out of that. So they're doing like this on our heads. Oh no, we got to put this one in check. So they're making sure I don't promote anything. I'm not able to post to groups because they know the kind of shit that I post. And then people in those groups are niching me out, or just Facebook in general. Employees are watching me, and when they see it, block. The last thing I posted wasn't even, it was about my book, promoting my book, but they want to make sure I don't succeed with that either, that I have to try to find another platform. And they already know there isn't a platform fast enough, big enough as they are. But I said in another video why, businesses need to be, how it would be dumb for businesses not to have presence on Fuckerbook. Let's talk about activism. Because I had a conversation. Okay, let's talk about activisms. I have been directed and pointed to look at black activists, and I'm talking about famous ones, by my therapist. I've also done a little bit of that research on my own, and because I told my doctor that I don't see any pro-black trans men out there. And so she led me to an article, I think it was on The Root, of a whole bunch of black transgender men, and said, are any of those about what you're about? And I looked at their bios, and I went to, some of them had their own website and stuff like that, and I went back to her, a few weeks later and said, no, they're not. They're about being transgender. They're not pro-black. They talk about their experiences about being black transgender men, but they are not pro-black transgender male advocates. It's a difference. So, but, the whole country's scared of them. And it doesn't matter what gender you are or what sexuality you are in this nation. White people are scared to freaking death of anything that looks like activism for our rights, our right to life, our civil rights, our social rights. They just all kind of twisted because we're popping up here, there, everywhere saying, oh, wait a minute. And then, because we have to use their freaking platforms because we don't own any, they can see how riled up we're getting and want to stop us from organizing. So I may use my glasses again, but I wanted, I told some guy, I was on some blog talk radio show where, for the longest time while I was there, while we were talking about various things, I would open up the dictionary and read the definitions of things. And then I dropped away from that blog show because I got really busy with other things. And then I dipped back in, and lo and behold, the guy who owns the show, now he's doing it. He's going out in the dictionary and reading people the definitions of things. But you need to take it kind of with a grain of salt, because there is no dictionary.com wasn't made by us. And there's another dictionary called an urban dictionary that has the most insane definitions of words in it. In fact, me and that guy, we used to laugh about some of this, the definitions of words they put in there. So this stuff is coming from dictionary.com, and they have a lot of these words have many definitions, and I picked the definition out that is similar to what I mean by that word. So what is an activist? It's an especially active, vigorous advocate of a cause, especially a political cause. So when people think of politics, though, they seem to think about that in a little box too, that it only means Democrat, Republican, or Independent. That's not what politics, that's not the full meaning of what politics is. Politics is involved in every aspect of our life. It doesn't matter whether you have a job. It doesn't matter whether you're in business for yourself. It doesn't matter whether you have a career. It doesn't matter whether you're in the military. It doesn't matter whether you're civilian. Politics in this society are all over your life, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, or none. That you don't care, you don't vote, you don't really care what's going on there. So political is of relating to or involving the state or its government, or a political offense. Listen, having a definite policy or system of government, or a political community, or of or relating to citizens' political rights. You care about your right to walk down the street and not get shot? If you care about your right to not be harassed, if you care about your right not to have people be mean and cruel to you and call you out your name and all sorts of stuff like that, if you care about that at all, if you care about that for your children, if you care about that for anybody, including yourself, you're political. So guess what? Whether you vote or not, whether you have a political affiliation or not, you are political. Because you have a cause, even if that cause is just your family. Even if that cause, but there is a bigger cause going on out here that's going to run you and your family over if you don't pay attention to that cause. So I just want you to, and I'm not even going to say what that cause is, because it's vast. I'll leave it up to you to think about it and perhaps do something about it. Okay, so this brings me to another part of this that I talked about in my last vlog, which is that, this FBI report about black identity extremists that doesn't exist. So I looked up what the difference between being radical and an extremist. So first I'm going to tell you radical. Wow, I just saw something I didn't really see the first time. So I'm going to take the second definition of radical, and the second and the third. So the second one is thorough, or going. Okay, this doesn't make sense. Something or extreme, especially as regards change from accepted or traditional forms. Think about that. Accepted. What is acceptable right now in the United States? What is acceptable worldwide? It's accepted to have a dominant race. Hate that word. But it is literally accepted, especially when we talk about fucker book. They accept all sorts of stuff that white people do to us. They don't accept it from us to them. And if there are white people on that platform who are anti-racist, they see them as a threat because they're not doing the traditional thing, which is to be shits to anybody who isn't white. Or a radical change in the policy of a company. See, now we're talking about business. The third definition of radical is favoring drastic political, economic, or social reforms. Radical ideas, radical and anarchistic, I think that word is, ideologies. That's radical. What I am. Extremist, on the other hand, is of a character or kind furthest removed from the ordinary or average extreme measures. So is me just talking an extreme measure? To certain people it is. Is my character further removed from the ordinary? Yeah, you could say that. But I'm still not a BIE. Because it ain't about, it's just my character. It has nothing to do with me being black. Although I am pro-black. You can figure that out, what I meant by that. Then we got this number 2 definition of extreme. See how, I'm going to tell you how different these definitions are. Utmost or exceedingly great in degree or extreme joy. So see, they're taking certain definitions that are negative and then tacking them on black people. And saying, oh, they're a black identity extremist, as in extreme in one of these negative definitions of the word. We can be unapologetically black. Joyfully so. And they still see that as a threat. Because they ain't looking at the joyful part. They're looking at the part that, oh my God, for over 400 years, they done treated us like shit, and they're afraid that if we get any kind of upper hand, that we're going to treat them like shit. This, which has something to do with why they're afraid of the Black Panther movie. Oh my God. This stuff is deep. Okay, so another definition of an extremist or extreme. Now they talk about fashion. Exceeding the bounds of moderation or extreme fashion. See, I'm telling you, they're being very fucking selective about which part of this dictionary they made that they're going to tack on us to make us look as negative and scary as possible. I am not a scary guy. Ask anybody who sees me on a regular basis. I'm not a scary guy. So that's it for extremists. And then I made a note to myself to question social activists versus a pro-black activist. Or are any of these things talking about the difference between civil rights via human rights? Well, when I heard Mara Kinsling of the NCTE speak in Atlanta in 2016, she made it very clear to everybody that if we don't stick up, if they don't stick up for black civil rights, then none of them have a right to demand we stick up for transgender rights. I was the only one in the back of the room that wanted to jump up on my chair when I heard that. Everybody else was like, huh? I was so ecstatic that I heard a white transgender woman say that. I couldn't believe she said it. But then, things got carried away, and, all of a sudden, what she said doesn't mean anything anymore because nobody was behind it but her. And she has superiors, and she has people she answers to, and if people don't hear her take that seriously, then she doesn't have a little army of people who can push for that. So they have to bail out and pay attention to all transgender rights, even though the white transgender community is discriminating against the black transgender community, or brown, or yellow. I ain't even gonna talk about yellow because they do their own thing. They don't care about any of this shit. They've got, the Asians have it just, they support each other. So then I've got to thinking about this last word, because you see a lot of arguments going on around the world. We're not just talking about social media, but inside of articles, inside of publications, inside of other types of websites. This arguing going on between what is liberal, what is conservative, and what a moderate is. And I think in many ways, I'm probably a liberal, but not like the conservatives are trying to call liberals. You know what? I can't remember some of the conversations that I've seen about this, but the conservatives are literally spitting at anybody they think is a liberal, because they're thinking of it in a political way, I think, a politics way, when that isn't what being liberal-minded means. This is the one I got to put my glasses on because there's a whole bunch of these. So, what is a liberal? Favorable to progress or reform, as in political or religious affairs. So, see, it's not just about politics. It's just about being favorable to progress. And there's a whole bunch of people here who don't want anything to progress. They don't want America to be great again. They want America to be white again. And that's what black activists are saying. No, we're part of this country too. It's talking about liberalism. Okay. The freedom of the individual and governmental guarantees of individual rights and liberties. If you're not about this, what are you about? Are you about not letting people have individual rights and liberties? if you are, you're a shit. Or a piece of shit. Okay, here we go again with this freedom thing. Favorable to or in accord with concepts of maximum individual freedom, especially as guaranteed by law and secured by governmental protection of civil liberties. If you're not about this, you're not about that definition, what are you being about? Just yours? And you're not a person of color? Or you're not LGBTQ? God knows you outnumber us. So, you're only interested in your, laws for you. Secure by governmental protection for you. For your civil liberties. If you are afraid of civil liberties of black people, brown people, red people, yellow people, and LGBTQ plus, if you're afraid of that, who are you? Are you human? Or are you just a self-centered asshole? Question mark. Look at another one. Liberal. We're still talking about what a liberal is. I ain't going to talk about what a moderate is or conservative is. Because I think human beings in the United States of America cross over from liberal to moderate to conservative. And that we all have a combination of some of this stuff. But what the alt-right is spitting at is liberal-minded people. And I mean spitting. Charge, hog wild, mad, cussing you out, calling you all sorts of names out there. Every publication I see, they crop up talking about, you must be a liberal. What's wrong with it? No, if there's something wrong with liberal, there's something wrong with you. Not a liberal. Okay, so favoring or permitting freedom of action, especially with respect to matters of personal belief or expression. A liberal policy toward dissident artists and writers, okay, but that can apply to anybody. Anybody, as long as it's about respecting the matters of personal belief or expression. Okay, this one's talking about government crap. And free from prejudice or bigotry. Tolerant. A liberal attitude toward whoever. Free from prejudice or bigotry. If you're not thinking human beings should be free from that stuff, then you're a bigot and you're prejudiced. Can you really sit up there and look yourself in the eye, look in the mirror and say, it's okay for me to be prejudiced or a bigot? Hey, not if your ego denial is strong. That should hurt you. But it doesn't. I've seen all sorts of people talking about genocide of black people is okay in America in 2018. She happened to be a crackhead. And she looked, what do you call them people that breed within their family? She looked like an inbred. So did her children. But she came out and said out loud, and some media, something or another, got a hold of her and asked her what she thought, and she said, yeah, you should kill them all. Fuck, that is not humane, and she was just a smug when she said that. Well, I think she's mentally ill. Hello. Um, Open-minded or tolerant. Are you closed-minded and intolerant in general? I mean, there are some things that I'm not open-minded about, and there's some things that I'm intolerant of. There's certain kinds of things that are going on with people that I'm intolerant of, and I'm not open-minded about. I'm not open-minded enough to think that their way of being is right or just. Therefore, I'm intolerant of them, and I'm closed-minded about them. I am closed-minded, and I am intolerant of bullshit conservatives saying that liberals are wrong when their attitude and their thinking is what's wrong with this country and what's wrong with this world, and it's why we're going to destroy ourselves and this planet. Wow, here's an interesting meaning of liberal. Characterized by generosity and willingness to give in large amounts, as in a liberal donor. Okay, you know, somebody who is very generous with their money. But, okay, and then here's another one that sounds just like it. Given freely or abundantly, being generous. So anyway, that's it. That's the dictionary word lesson for the day. You know, I said to somebody earlier that, you know, fucker book employees and users and groups, the white ones, they wouldn't be so scared of us if they weren't dumping on us. See, if they weren't doing that, there would be no need for black activists. They know they're wrong. Somewhere in their heart, somewhere in their mind, they're scared because they know that if it was them, they know how they'd feel. They know what they'd do. They know that all this shit is intrinsically wrong. And that's why they're scared. That's why they're trying to suppress me and oppress me and trip me up and divert me and everything. It's because they don't want anybody to perhaps show them how wrong they are in the way they feel about us, the way they feel about LGBTQ+, the way they feel about all marginalized people. And they've got the marginalized people stepping on other marginalized people. This is a very sick, I'm not going to even say it's human nature, because it's not. You're not born with this shit. You learn it in your environment. You are not born hating, discriminating, or any of these words. You're not born with that in your head or your emotions. You know, by the same token I talked about abuse, black people have been abused since we were brought here to the United States. Do you have any idea what it takes to be a joyful, happy guy in the face of this abuse that is still going on and is getting even stronger with white supremacy and white nationalism? Try to imagine being happy and joyful underneath knowing we're being abused all the freaking time. We are strong people, but we're not. Because there's a whole bunch of black people that are asleep and they're scared and they're hiding and they don't want to speak out. That's why they're going to make distance between me and them. Because they see I'm one of those that, you know what? I came from the Black Power era. They're afraid I'm going to start something like that. Well, we wouldn't have to if y'all would just freely give it. See, the problem is y'all won't do that. Silence is consent to not giving us any power. You like it that way. Means more for you, right? And that kind of selfishness embedded in the white culture. Then they tell us, you know what, go back to, no, y'all go back to Europe. Everybody that tried to tell me go back to Africa, that's what I got to say to you. Wherever the fuck you came from, go back. I'm a veteran of the United States fucking Air Force. I served for your right to open your big fat mouth and be an asshole. I served for that. I don't care what you say. I ain't a soldier anymore. I'm not under military doctrine anymore. I'm a private citizen. And if you want to be rude to me after I served for your right to be rude, then you're a miserable human being and I don't want anything to do with you. You're just miserable. Evil, mad, bad, wrong. That includes you Facebook employees who keep messing with me just because you can, or because some idiot picked up on this stupid FBI report thing and the FBI is whispering to the CEO, COO of Facebook. It's all wrong. And this shit is fictional. It's fictitious. It's as fictitious as the Black Panther movie. It's fictitious. But here's the difference. That was just a movie. This shit is reality. These motherfuckers are getting ready to create laws and movements and plans and practices around this fictitious shit they done made up. And then attack, give everybody permission to attack black activists. Would we need black activists if things were equal here? No. Y'all don't want it to be equal, so you're scared that it's going to become equal. Well, what kind of evil is that? Well, you know, I'm going to keep blowing my horn because none of this shit is right, and I'm one of those that is willing to take a stand. You don't stand for something, you fall for anything. That is what I was taught somewhere in my past. And this means standing for the righteous, standing for justice, not standing for bullshit or fall for anything. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about taking a stand for civil liberties in the US of A. Because everybody's looking at us worldwide. And whatever they do, it kind of opens the door to what they do in their country. The hell, they got slavery going on in Libya in 2018. Somebody, somewhere along the line, told them that's an okay thing to do. And then the silence of the United States and the silence of Europe and the silence of all the other countries around that continent, not saying nothing about it, saying we consent to it. It's an okay thing to do. And then there are people in black organizations and groups that are absolutely terrified that that bullshit's gonna blow across the ocean and come here. And guess what it's starting to look like here? Guess what? It's not even starting. It has always looked that way. It's just a matter of degree to how far down they push us versus how far they let us up. But the ceiling between them and us, you can drive 3 oceans between it. That's what they're afraid of, that gap closing. But again, I gotta go back to my Tandem Computers vlog where I said because that president of that company, that CEO of that company made all of us so happy, we'd do anything for that man. No. Instead, you got this idiot running the country who wants to do anything for him. No, he's just got a little small group of people who are stirring up all this shit because they're in power. Most of us would not do anything for him. I wouldn't take a bullet for him. That's why I'm glad I'm not, a Secret Service or part of the military or whatever. I would not swear any oath to him, and I would not take a bullet for him. For what? He didn't care about me. The government doesn't care about me. And I don't say me as in just me. All of us. They do not care. They're collecting a paycheck, and then a whole bunch of them are making stuff, nasty, evil stuff happen nationwide because of their omission of saying something against it, or overtly saying something against it, like the stupid idiot said about different countries. I'm not even going to say I'm not going to repeat what he said. He doesn't deserve any press about the bullshit that comes out his mouth, and the bullshit that he tweets, and the bullshit that he's signing in the law that's coming from senators and House of Representatives. Ooh, this... Okay, well, this video was longer than the other one, but I just wanted to put it out there that this fictitious fear they have about me is just that. Because they can make that up and run with it, they're doing it. The entire frickin' company is doing it about a few handfuls of black activists. And I ain't talking about transgender activists that only being activists about being transgender. I'm talking about this race thing. What I'm talking about. That's what I do that sets me apart from all of them. Every single one of them. Is that I'm not just sitting here thinking this stuff. It's coming out my mouth. It's coming off my fingers. It's being posted. It's being sent all over the doggone place. I'm not just paying lip service to black activism. I've been all over this area to all sorts of different kinds of meetings, trying to look for a group of people that aren't just paying lip service to activism. I also found another little article today, and then I'm going to end this, where it had 15, the keyword I put in the search engine was black transgender activists. There's 15 of them. Most of them were trans women. Some of them were white trans men. I think there was 2 of them, of the 15, that appeared to be black trans men. But when they talked about their activism, it had nothing to do with being transgender or black. Again, I'm telling you, that's what they're trying to squash on Fucker Book, is a black, pro-black, transgender, I don't want to say messiah because that's not what I am, activist, pro-black, transgender, activist. That's what they're fucking with. That's why they're doing what they're doing to me. And if you ain't one of those, what you scared of? Even if you were associated with me, you're still not one. That doesn't make you one. I'm still one, not you. You know, if I did have a group of men like that with me, I wouldn't be conducting that on Facebook. We'd be talking over the phone and meeting in person and meeting in different places, not on that stupid platform. I'm just putting out information on the platform. These people are so silly. I just can't believe what's happening. And yeah, they're trying to make me lose my damn mind over that platform. I'm not gonna. I'm a strong, proud, unapologetically black trans man. This is the Fox. This is the Pollinator. And everybody have a blessed night and a blessed rest of the week. Peace.